Hey everybody, it's Catherine Middlebrooks here, the founder of BRB Yoga. And I wanted to come on today to talk a little bit about how to jump back into physical activity and fitness after you have a baby. I do have some very strong opinions on this, and I figured it was time to share them. I've been getting a lot of questions about this, and people just kind of being like, I don't know where to start. So today I want to lay out where to start, what the timeline is, what to avoid, and what to do kind of as you go through some of the postpartum milestones. So let's jump into it. Okay, first things first, you just had a baby. In those first 6 weeks after having a baby, obviously the priority is to rest. You want to rest primarily. If you are feeling up to anything, I don't know that I was in those 6 weeks. If you are up to anything, the only thing I want you to do is a little bit of deep breathing. Try and get that breathing system back online. The next thing would be connecting a little bit to your deep core muscles, your transverse. So seated position or when you're nursing your baby, just take a breath in, let the belly relax. And as you exhale, imagine this corset wrapping all the way from your spine around to your belly. Just creating a little bit of that connection between the mind and the body in those first 6 weeks can do a lot for bringing the core back online. If you're going to do any sort of activity, it should be walking. That is a really good way just to get the blood flowing, which helps with healing. And it's also low impact. It is, it's just, walking is great. So that's really all you do in those first 6 weeks. You rest, and if you feel up to it, you do some deep breathing, you do some core engagement, and you do some walking. Now, if at all possible, it would be awesome if you could do some walking without carrying a baby. And I know that's not always possible. For me, I don't think that I walked at all without my baby in those first 6 weeks. But if you can, it would be great, just because your alignment changes when you are carrying a baby versus not. And so giving your body a couple of minutes a day of walking freely, right, without holding weight in front of you, that is a good thing. Okay, so that's all we're doing in the first 6 weeks. Once you move past that 6-week point and you've been cleared for activity, right? And if you have a C-section, maybe give yourself another 2 weeks or so to really allow that body to recover, right? So 6 to 8 weeks. Once you've hit that point and you're like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good to move, the 6-week to 4-month period is really critical for your post-baby health. And so I want you to approach it with care and caution. Okay, so here are my recommendations for this period. When you are in that 6 week to 4-month period, first, your hormones are wackadoo, right? They are out of control. You have a ton of hormones coursing through your body, and you have a ton of muscular imbalances hanging around from pregnancy. So your body is in a very compromised state in that period of time. Now, I often see people who were most active during their pregnancy have kind of dig themselves into a hole in this period because they feel strong. Their arms are strong, their legs are strong. I have a balloon here because it was my son's birthday yesterday. Their arms are strong, their legs are strong, so they feel like they can do everything, but their core is weak and can't support them. So in that period, here is what I want you to do. I want you to continue working on re-engaging your core. I want you to focus on engaging the transverse, doing activities that are really mindfully building those core muscles back. Still working on getting the breathing down. It's amazing how messed up the breathing becomes during pregnancy and how long it can take to get it working back online. But as I've talked about before, when you get the breath back online, it helps the core come back online too. Okay, so that's your focus. And then building mobility in the mid-back. That's the other focus of this period. We have gotten so tight from pregnancy. You want to start opening up the back and opening up the chest so that you can also build more strength here and not be hurting your core every time you're like reaching for something. Because when you're tight here and you reach, you take your whole core with you. All right, so what do you avoid in that period of time? I want you in that first 4 months, still avoiding high intensity impact activities. So don't run, don't do burpees, don't do HIIT stuff, don't do CrossFit, right? You can do walking, you can do gentle weightlifting, you can do specific types of yoga like the yoga that I teach. Those are the things you want to be doing in that 4-month period, but you don't want to be putting excessive demand and load on that core. It's just not ready to handle it yet. Even things like spin classes or really competitive swimming, even though those are technically low impact, the positions they're putting your body in are compromising the core. So definitely avoid those high impact activities in the first 4 months postpartum. And then you also want to avoid all of these sort of front loading ab activities. You don't want to be doing anything like crunches, planks, you know, all of that stuff that is typically ab exercises. Don't do that in those first 4 months. It's going to create more damage than good. And again, this is a critical period, right? In that 6 weeks to 4 month period, that's a period where you can really create a solid foundation so that moving out, you know, into the 6 months and beyond period, you can really start incorporating bigger, stronger activities into your life. Or if you go too fast, too hard in that critical period, you can create more strain, more damage, and actually end up weaker kind of at 6 months postpartum than you were at 6 weeks. All right, so that's the 6 week to 4 month period. Then it gets a little murky after 4 months because this is where really individual disposition can vary. So first things, if you are breastfeeding your baby, know that that critical period gets extended. The hormones for breastfeeding create a lot of ligament laxity. They make you really loosey-goosey. They make it hard to create stability in your body. It's just the way those hormones work. So if you are someone who is doing extended breastfeeding, and I breastfed both of my babies until after they were 2, so I totally fall into this camp. You probably want to stay away from really hardcore, high intensity activities until you are done breastfeeding or you have dropped down to just a few feedings a day, like 2 to 3 feedings a day. Once you get to that point, the hormone levels change a little bit, and so your body becomes a little bit safer. The other, if you are someone who just tends to be really loosey-goosey, like really flexible, that is also me, then you are probably genetically predisposed to instability over stability, right? Your joints are looser, that's why you're super flexible. You probably really like yoga too. If that's the case, you also want to be a little bit more cautious. You're going to want to extend that period of avoiding high intensity activity for longer because your body just takes longer to build up the stability. So for those people, I say at least a year of really being more cautious with your activity. Now, another thing is if you're genetically predisposed to it. If you have history, like if your mom or your grandmother had hernias or prolapses, well, then you probably have some genetic predispositions to these issues. So you want to be more cautious and, again, continue to extend that period of cautiousness and avoiding high impact activity. Okay, but if that's not you, and right, you're like ready to start jumping into running and HIIT activities, all of that stuff, great. Here is my approach. First, you want to start out slow, right? your body has gone through a big change. So you can't jump into where you were when you left off. So you want to start at a lower intensity, right? Don't go 100%, start at 50%. See how it feels. Also, you want to start with shorter durations and then check in. So if you are someone who's going to jump back into running, start with, don't go and run 2 miles on your first time out. I want you to go run 5 minutes and then check in with what is happening in your body. Does your back hurt? Do your hips hurt? Have you leaked any pee while you were doing that? Well, if so, then that's a sign that you're a little weak for this activity and you need to back up and build that foundation more. If you go for 5 minutes and you're like, no, I feel supported in my core, I feel like I'm not having any back stuff, hip stuff, I feel good, well, awesome. Go for another 5 minutes and then check in, right? So you want to keep checking in because there's probably going to be a point at which your body is like, that's my limit. That's as far as I can do this in a strong, safe way. And once you hit that limit, that's when you stop, right? That's your limit for now, and then you're going to build upon that. So, so do that. You go less intensity at the beginning, check in. Shorter durations at the beginning and check in. And the moment you see any of those signs that are problematic, you stop. That's your point. And then you know that that's where you are right now and you can build your base from there. Okay, I think that is pretty much everything. I will very soon, I'm not sure if it's going to be next week, I might talk about something else next week, but very soon be sharing kind of my approach to yoga in that critical phase, what the things are that you want to be doing in that critical phase, because I know I've just given you a lot of things not to do and not really given you a lot of what to do. So stay tuned for that. Okay, everybody, I hope that helps, and I hope that makes you feel a little bit more confident about what the heck you should be doing at any given time. Talk to you all soon. Let me know if you have questions, and if you have a mom that you know that recently had a baby that could benefit from this, please feel free to share this video with her. Bye, guys.